All right, so first of all, understanding the code in Weby'do. Okay, so right now you're building a site, everything is good. Okay, you're ready to publish your site. Okay, once you hit publish, these elements. Okay, so we have a text element, we have buttons element, so all the design view that you see here. Once you hit publish, the system inside Weby'do generates for every element a chunk of code, and it publishes it under one page. Well, basically all the pages that you have created, but the one that you see here right now is under this one page. So this text will have a bunch of, the freelancer will have a chunk of code, the button will have a chunk of code, etc., etc. Okay, so understanding the code. So this is exactly what we want to know. What happens when we hit publish? It generates the code. Okay, now how do we see the code? All right, so this is a freaky part. Don't be freaked out. Let's do it. Number one, we want to publish. And once it's published, I'm going to show you how to see the code inside Weby'do. So I'm using Chrome. Okay, a lot of people are using Firefox. My personal suggestion, always use Chrome. Okay, I love Chrome. Chrome would be the best platform, best browser there. All right, so what we want to do, we want to know what is this chunk of code that is under the freelancer. So what I'm going to do on my mouse, I'm going to put my mouse on top of this text and I'm going to right click on it. When I right click on it, I'm going to have a point where it says inspect. So you're inspecting the element. So click on it. Give it a moment. It opened on another screen. Sorry. There you go. Let me redo it. Inspect. And generally something like this opens up. Okay. So we want to understand how do I get to the code? So you basically select wherever you want, you right click and inspect. Okay. So let's have a look. Step one, publish the site first. Right click on any element and then select inspect. Okay. So when you inspect an element, a window with two columns appears in your browser. The left column is the HTML, and in the right column, it's the CSS. These are two different coding languages. I'm not going to get too deep into it. You have HTML, CSS. Both of them work together. Okay. We're mainly going to use HTML to analyze and CSS to play around with. Okay. So now, how do I analyze an element? How do I know which element is selected? Okay. So if I do, for example, on this button here, I go and I do inspect, you're going to see that automatically in the HTML section, okay, it's going to select. It's going to select the element. Now, since we're looking at a lot of code, let me just zoom in. There you go. It automatically highlights the code, which highlights the element. Okay. Now the thing is, we want to concentrate on one thing inside the HTML section. We want to concentrate on a div ID. Okay, the ID of the element. It could like my ID 233, an ID of something. Okay, we want to concentrate on that. Whatever's inside, we do not care. We just want the ID of the element. Okay, so you're going to see that on your whole code, okay, you have IDs. Okay, div ID here. This is div class. We don't care. We just want div ID. Div ID, div ID, div ID, div ID. Now, if I right click on start, it might show me the div ID inside. Okay, so it's showing me the text that is inside, get started, but we want the div ID. Div ID, inner magic widget 43, magic 43. This is what we want to get. Every time that you want to analyze an element that you dragged and dropped into the Weby'do platform and you published it, you want to know which element is it, we're always looking at the div ID. If you double click, this is the div ID, exactly like that. Okay, so let me show you here. Whoops, this is exactly what we're looking for. Div ID, inner text 42, 42. Okay, this is for text, for any element. Okay, this is my first note. My second note is that every time that you roll, when you hover over a chunk of code, it selects the element itself. Okay, so for example, if I don't need to be here, but if I'm putting my mouse here, you see that automatically on my design, on my website itself, that my button is highlighted. That way I know what I'm selecting. Okay, so this is my second note. Okay, know that every time that you roll over on a div inside the source code, it automatically highlights in blue the designed element. Okay, so this is as an example. So here I selected it. This is highlighted in blue, and the freelancer element is highlighted in blue. Now, my third note is that if you pay attention every time that you inspect an element whatsoever, as long as it's the div ID, okay, you're gonna see that that it's extremely identical to the layers panel inside the studio. Okay, so let's have a look here. Note 3. Also know that the element that you inspected is also almost as identical as the studio's layer in the layers panel. So right now, what am I looking for? I am looking for inner text 42. Let's do the button here, for example. What is it? Inner magic widget 43. Let's go on my studio. Let's click on this button here, and on the top right, I'm gonna have my layers panel. Okay, and you're gonna see here ghost button 43. So it has the same ID. This is how I know that I'm selecting the right element. Okay, I also added an example here. Okay, the one that I'm selecting, the freelancer text 42, and inside the code inner text 43.